Hello, and welcome to show number 2337 of Eyes on Success, a weekly program covering a wide variety of topics of interest to people with vision loss. I'm Nancy Goodman Torpy.
And I'm Pete Torpy.
Blind people have been isolated for a long time, long before COVID. And many people in our community are at home a lot, and community has brought them exactly that, a sense of community. And it has wiped away the distance, the miles between us. And many people have now built friendships, and it's across the miles, and it's even across the world.
Connecting with other people can not only make us happier, but studies have shown it will also make us healthier. And we'll be talking about a great resource today that can help us connect with other people all around the world.
We'll talk with Cindy Hollis, Manager of Membership Engagement for the American Council of the Blind, or ACB, about the many virtual community events that they host every week, aimed at bringing people with a wide range of interest from around the world together in community. But first, for our tip of the week. This week's tip comes from Cindy Hollis.
My tip is, no one ever has to be alone, feel alone. Join ACB Community. Send an email to community@acb.org, and you will find friendship, fellowship, and lots of fun.
And apparently lots of information on a huge variety of topics.
Absolutely.
Support for Eyes on Success is provided by
Inclusive, an e-learning platform built for the blind community to learn technology, occupational, and career skills to help you reach your employment goals. More information is at www.clusive.io. That's www.clusiv.io.
You are listening to Eyes on Success. Success, 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 success.
Let's start by meeting Cindy and learning about the American Council of the Blind, or ACB, and some of the programs that they run.
Hi, I'm Cindy Hollis, Manager of Membership Engagement for the American Council of the Blind. Have been a member of ACB for 37 years. And so almost all my life. And I helped create the ACB Community Platform, which we are going to talk about.
And I gather you are blind yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Totally blind since birth.
So for people who may not be familiar with the ACB, give us a quick overview of what they do.
Sure. The American Council of the Blind is a membership-driven organization, very grassroots. We started in 1961, and it was an offshoot of the National Federation of the Blind. People left that organization and wanted to create something that they felt was democratic and that they would have more freedom of speech at that time. I think that today things have changed a lot, and the organizations work much better together than ever before, which is awesome. Today we work on advocacy issues, a lot of work on the Hill with legislation. We provide scholarships. We have about 40 committees or more that are working on things like employment and sight and hearing loss, audio description, fundraising, community, which we're going to be talking about, membership, leadership training, and there are task forces that are working on things like around rehabilitation. And so just a lot of advocacy trying to meet the needs of those that are blind. Our mission statement is, and the reason we exist, is to increase the independence, security, equality of opportunity, and quality of life for people who are blind and visually impaired. So that is who ACB is, and we are in 45 states currently, and we also have 20 special interest affiliates.
So that sounds like a wide variety of activities and also with a lot of overlap with what the NFB does.
For sure. And when possible, NFB and ACB are working together, especially on legislatively.
Support for Eyes on Success is made possible in part by our corporate partners.
Find out more about partnership opportunities by sending an email to hosts@eyesonsuccess.net.
This week's focus topic is the ACB Community and the many virtual community events that they host every week, aimed at bringing people with a wide range of interests from around the world together.
You gave us a great overview of what the ACB does in the introduction, but as you mentioned, today we want to talk about some of your community engagement and the various ways in which you connect members to do some social things and networking activities. Can you give us a brief overview of some of those activities, then we can focus in on some of the more interesting ones?
Sure. If you don't mind, I'll start off by speaking about how we even began with our community events platform. It started on March 17th with 2 calls that week in an effort to stay connected. This was right after the president announced that everybody should stay home and isolate. And that was a pretty scary time for our country and for blind people in general. So we started with 2 calls. The next week there were 9, and it exploded from there. And we started off by just announcing that if any of our affiliates or committees wanted to hold a call, we could do that. We were using different platforms such as free conference call, Zoom, and anything people had. And we quickly moved to strictly Zoom. And anybody could bring content to the community. That's how we started. And it really has grown into about 100 calls a week now, every day of the week, including holidays, Saturdays and Sundays. And we start at 9 a.m. Eastern, and the last call will take place at 10 p.m. Eastern.
I take it these various calls are on different topics or different interest groups?
Absolutely. So we have some calls that are social. Then we have some that are fun. So the social calls might be somebody just brings up a question of the day, or like on Thursday mornings at 11 a.m., you could go to Throwback Thursday and talk about memories, and you could share any memory you want. We have some calls that use breakouts to be able to put people in smaller groups so they can get to know each other better, such as the Friendship Circle and Neighborhood Coffee Clutch. And then we also have fun calls where we do karaoke on Saturday nights, or it's playtime on Friday nights, open mic night on Wednesday nights. And then we might have presentations about a specific topic around music, or we might be learning about a language such as Spanish or French, or we have a huge crafting presence. We have about 4 crafting calls a week where people who are blind are teaching other people who are blind how to sew, knit, crochet, do beading, all kinds of things. We have spiritual calls, and most of those are on Sunday, but some of them are also on Monday. We have support calls, peer support for widows and widowers, people who are divorced, who are blind, people who are newly blind, wanting to learn how to navigate that new journey in their life. We also have one for people who are blind and also have other disabilities. And the list goes on.
You refer to these as calls. but they're really group interactions. And some of them, there's a presenter who does most of the talking, but some of them, everybody in the group can interact with each other.
Yeah, so we actually call them events, and these events are anywhere from more social in nature, and those we still use hands raising, and so people aren't talking over one another.
We should clarify you're using Zoom, and so are we.
Yes,
Hand raising is something digital you can do in Zoom. You don't have to rely on somebody visually seeing your hand going up.
absolutely. And we have professionalized our hosting, and we train our hosts, all of whom are blind or visually impaired. And we started that in the fall of 2020. And they actually go through training, and then they have to come to a quarterly check-in to remain a active host for us. And they learn how to lower hands, how to unmute people in webinar, how to use breakouts. And we also now use Clubhouse, which is an app on the phone, and people also use Club Deck on their computer. And we don't use it strictly alone. We use it in conjunction with Zoom. So it's just another way for us to reach more people who are blind. And we also utilize ACB Media, which is our internet radio station, to stream live many of our events. About 1/3 are streamed and also broadcast in Clubhouse. You were also asking about the kinds of calls and presenters, not presenters. Sometimes people will set up a call and have a topic, say around transportation or some other advocacy issue or topic that they find maybe is best presented with a panel. And so they might have a group of people that are presenting. Others may present on a topic that is something that they know well. And so that is great. Others will just want to hear from other people about a given topic. And so it'll be more of an open forum, and the topic will be known in the description that we send out in our daily schedule, and people can come and talk all they want about as they take their turn. And they can talk about that given topic. And then some of our calls, such as a Braille Room, where that's 2 days a week, where people can learn Braille or get better at using Braille. And they are paired up with a tutor who is also in the community and is blind and knows Braille. And they are put into a breakout room where they can work together one-on-one or one-on-two to work on skills for what they are learning. And then we do that also breakouts with some of our social events. Not all, but some of them, and people really like them.
It's really kind of neat. People talk about the miserable times during COVID, which we all remember, but somehow this seemed to all have been spurred by the COVID experience. And it really mushroomed pretty quickly, didn't it?
It did. It's like the lemonade from lemons, right? Yeah, it was because there was a need. The interesting thing that we learned is we thought the community was built because of COVID, and it was introduced because of that for sure. But the first few months, people kept saying, when COVID's done, when we're done with all this, is community going to go away? And my response always was, not if it's still wanted, right? Where there's no plans of it going away. And what we've learned over the last few years, and 14,000 events held so far, what we have learned is it's not going away, because even though COVID told us all to isolate, blind people have been isolated for a long time, long before COVID. And many people in our community are at home a lot, and community has brought them exactly that, a sense of community. And it has wiped away transportation challenges and it is wiped away, needing to have enough money to be able to go to a restaurant or any of those other inequities. And it has wiped away the distance, the miles between us. And many people have now built friendships, and it's across the miles, and it's even across the world. We have people that join us from all over the world, and even hosts that have learned how to host for us that live in England and South Wales in the UK and Dubai and Canada.
As you were describing the program, that was exactly what I was thinking, that this program is ideally suited to people with visual impairments because it's not so easy for them to get to a central location, to meet with other people in their community. Plus, there isn't that density of other blind people in the same area. So you can actually network with people all over, regardless of where they are.
Absolutely. And it's been pretty amazing to me to find people of all ages, all backgrounds in the same room having a good time and actually becoming community. Community is like family. So when we meet together every morning, we do a call at 9 a.m. People can listen on ACB Media 5 as well. So I'll give that information toward the end. But people can listen in or join us. And every morning we go over the daily schedule, and we also have a question of the day. And there are many voices we hear each day, or if we don't hear them, we wonder, are they okay? It is that feeling of community, and it could be somebody that's 19 or 91, and there's room for everyone. And one thing I'll share is one night we had a friendship circle going on, but there was one young man, he's, I believe, 12 or 13, and he was in the call. And one of the older participants asked him, "Why are you hanging out with us old folks?" And he said, "Because you're cool." And he comes back often, and he's 13. And everybody knows that our calls, our motto is safe, respectful, welcoming. And so I feel really comfortable knowing that we can have young people or people of all ages in our community, and they can relate to other people who are blind and not feel alone.
This is such a wonderful service that ACB is providing. And as you said, for people of all ages and living in urban areas, rural areas, different countries. I'm curious about the logistics because when you first started, you said there were 2 events the first week, but now there's over 100 every week, and it's got to take some work from a group of people at ACB. But at the beginning, you had no idea what you guys were getting yourselves into. How did that all work out? I mean, is it all volunteers?
It's a lot volunteer, but it's not all volunteer. When we started, I was probably putting in about 60 to 80 hours a week, but it became apparent pretty quickly that it could not be a one-person show, behind the scenes activities. So not too far in, about 8 or 10 months in, ACB was fortunate to get a foundational grant from the Gibney Foundation, and it supported a full-time position for an admin assistant. Currently, that position is held by Natalie, who is my assistant, and we are the 2-person team for membership, which oversees community. But more importantly, we have well over 100 volunteers that are so committed to this work of the community. They love it. They live and breathe it. They always want to do more. And what is involved behind the scenes? Well, we have a form that we put out to anybody who wants to hold an event. So they have to submit a form to let us know when, the title, the description if they have their own Zoom account or if they'd like us to schedule it for them. We have now 6 Zoom accounts that we are using. We have hosts, and then we work on scheduling them on Friday for the next Sunday through Saturday week. And they are scheduled to host, moderate in Clubhouse, broadcast that's connecting Zoom and Clubhouse together, stream on ACB Media. And so we are scheduling people, volunteers, to do all of those tasks. We also have our volunteers open rooms, and they are all also now helping us with actually scheduling new events. So we are always finding new ways to utilize our volunteers who we appreciate more than words can say, and we know we could not do this without them.
You mentioned a grant that you got and the number of volunteers that you have. Is this mostly funded by grants and donations, or is there a subscription or membership fee to participate?
So no one needs to pay anything to join the community. We don't check ID at the door, and anybody can join our community events, and everyone is welcome. Please join us. We want new people to find us, and no one should ever feel alone. We are receiving some grants, but the main supporter really is ACB is supporting this.
Are all of these events held in English, or do you do other languages as well?
ACB is looking to bring more of our content into Spanish, and anybody can bring content. So if there's somebody listening and is going, wow, I could do a social event in Spanish, yes, you can. That way, that will be great as well. And last fall, we actually did a Spanish-only karaoke night, and I even learned a song in Spanish so I could perform.
Well, what a great resource for visually impaired people around the world, and a great service that you guys are providing.
I think so. I think that one of the best things about community, and I hear it often from people, is that it has empowered them to try new things that they never could have imagined. Many people are facilitating a call that never thought they would ever do something like that, or they're hosting and volunteering in ways that they never dreamt they would. And it's blind folks helping blind folks, right? That's what community is all about. And so that's what we're doing. And we just really want to open this up to more people and have people give a listen to what we're doing and find their niche, and maybe even identify new ways that we can provide new content to our community.
You are listening to Eyes on Success. Success, 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 success.
Now for this week's final item, how to learn more about the ACB community, how to participate in it, and how to contact the team that runs it, including Cindy Hollis.
Well, Cindy, if people want to find out more about these community events and perhaps participate, what would you tell them?
Well, 2 things. One, if you have an Alexa device, first ask her to enable the ACB media skill. Once it's enabled, if you say, Alexa, play ACB Media 5, you will instantly be connected with community, because 24/7 we have stuff playing back on that channel. That is one way that you get a feel for who we are. And at 9 a.m. Eastern every day, you can actually hear the daily schedule. If you would like to receive the daily schedule in your inbox, send an email to community@acb.org. That's community@acb.org. And let us know you'd like to subscribe. Or if you have any questions about the American Council of the Blind or about community, certainly that is a great email address to use as well. Natalie and I both will respond, or either of us will. You can also listen to the daily schedule by calling 800-424-8666 and follow the prompts. And the schedule is recorded each week for each day of the week. It is only recorded once a week, though, so any changes are not reflected on those recordings. The best way is to get the daily schedule. We send it out every night, and it is for the next day. We send it out on Friday night for the weekend. And we, of course, welcome everyone. If you are on Clubhouse or if you are interested, you can also join Clubhouse and sign up for the ACB Club. And you can also join us there for many of our events. And you can also find us on Facebook under ACB Community.
Is there some place online where people can find the schedule and browse through it?
Yes, you can look up on acb.org and find the community events there. However, none of the Zoom information is shared there. Zoom information is only shared via the daily schedule sent out on email, and this is to avoid Zoom bombers. So it's, again, the motto of community is safe, respectful, and welcoming, and we do our best to maintain that.
If somebody has a question for you, how would they reach you?
Community@acb.org is probably the best way, easiest way. You can certainly also email me at chollis, CHOLLIS, @acb.org. But I read both of those emails, so community is a pretty easy one to remember.
And of course, you can find all that contact information, those resources in the show notes associated with this episode, which is episode 2337 at our website, www.eyesonsuccess.net. And speaking of community, if you want to participate in the Eyes on Success community, you might want to join our email discussion forum where you can share your thoughts about what you've heard on the program and connect with other listeners. And you can do that by sending an email to EOS_discuss plus subscribe at googlegroups.com. We look forward to seeing you there.
And we read every one of those notes. That's it for today's show. Next week on Eyes on Success, we'll be talking about the Tech Toolbox from Orbit Research. Orbit Research carries a wide variety of products suitable for students, professionals, and home use. These range from talking and graphics calculators to multi-line and graphical Braille displays to low-vision magnifiers and to Braille computers. We'll talk with Venkatesh Chari, President and CEO of Orbit Research, about their many offerings.
Thanks for joining us this week, and we hope to see you next week.
You've been listening to Eyes on Success, hosted and produced by Nancy Goodman-Torpy and Peter Torpy.
You can access the full archive of previous shows, subscribe to the podcast, and much more by going to our website, www.eyesonsuccess.net. If you have questions about anything you've heard on the show or have suggestions for future shows, send an email to hosts@eyesonsuccess.net.
Thank you for listening and have a nice day.